You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the national streaming sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sport Talk's MLB update. How's everybody doing on this fine Black Friday? We welcome everybody watching today on Facebook, our TGI Sports Talk Facebook page, our personal page on Facebook, YouTube, X, all TGI Sports Talk branded. We're on Roku, the national streaming sports Roku channel. Where else are we? You'll see us repeated on many of the our favorite groups, which we'll talk about in a second. Quick shout out, DDH, thumbs up. Thanks for looking over us on this fine Thanksgiving holiday. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff there in Pittsburgh. Most specifically, I guess, the Sports Corner every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time with Smoking Jim Frazier. Been a guest there myself and had lots of fun. Quick shout out to some groups. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities. Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, The Love for Baseball, which we'll certainly share this show too later this afternoon. Ken Krause at Golf Buds Sports of All Sorts. The Bottom Line Sports with Flo and the gang. Let's talk sports. And JB, I hope you join us today from Back It Up Binge podcast on YouTube. I kind of got called out by JB a little bit on this morning on the 101 show. Thanks to my guest Bob Hildberg, Patriots historian. We had a great conversation for about an hour about Patriots history. If you are Patriots fans, it's still a lot of great knowledge. We talked about a lot of stuff and a lot of players and had a lot of fun doing so. And we want to get back to the interviews segment of that show. It's been a little hit and miss recently with the holidays and whatnot, a little tough, but we're making some headway. I've got some conversations going. A lot of guys are steering me towards one. A lot of the old New York players, Art Shamsky, Mickey Rivers, some great players that I've had contact with, but they're steering me towards one guy to book them. And I've got a feeling it's going to turn into a, pay to show up thing. And that's not something that we initially do here. Ashton Hicks, I see you there. Feel free to talk or chime in on the comments today. Next week, by the way, on the 101 show, we'll have Billy Sample. From a baseball perspective, well, Billy Sample, former Texas Ranger, played a year with the Yankees, played with the Braves. Billy's been involved in a lot of endeavors after baseball, and we'll talk to him next Friday morning at 9 a.m. So we look forward to having you with us at that point in time. Today, we're going to get into some free agent talk. We'll look at some of the news, a lot of news to talk about, but we'll look at the rest of the free agents maybe as we had non-tenders and things like that. Drew had mentioned in our review show, 2024 review show last week. You can check that out on the TGI Sports Talk page. We'll talk about Blake Snell signs with the Dodgers for how much money? God, somebody help me out. Oh my God. It's just, I'll find it here. How much did he sign for? Oh, 5 years, $182 million. By the way, Blake Snell has pitched more than 30 games, or as many as 30 games, twice in his career. Now, he won the Cy Young both those years. He pitched a no-hitter this year. It's the first time he'd ever gotten a complete game in his whole career. Never had gotten, he had a total of, I believe, 5 outs from the seventh inning on his entire career. This is what, and I don't know if this is an indictment on Blake Snell or it's an indictment on baseball. But as a Yankee fan, boy, am I happy Blake Snell is signing someplace else. John Gonzalez, who we mentioned earlier, happy Thanksgiving to you, John. The admin over at the Sports Authorities, who been one of our biggest supporters since we started this show. It'll be 5 years soon. Well, TGI Sports Talk, we started 5 years ago. Some of these shows kind of came after that. But we can talk about Blake Snell today. We can talk about Brandon Crawford retiring from the, he won a World Series. I think he played with the Cardinals this last year. Might have been released during the year. He had a nice career. 2-time World Series champion, a good fielder. Actually was a really good bat as he got to the middle part of his career. The Dodgers, we said they're adding Snell. Ohtani seeks baseball cards from his ex-interpreter. Apparently he stole more money. He stole his baseball cards. There's no bigger crime than that, right? Rays have got to find something to do about their stadium situation. You know, we may find two teams playing in stadiums holding less than 15,000 people next year in Major League Baseball. It's remarkable to me. Now, I understand this one's unavoidable because of weather, Mother Nature, tragic hurricanes, and believe me, a lot worse things have happened during this hurricane season in Florida and North Carolina and the like, than the roof getting ripped off the Tropicana. But, I don't know. The Angels have agreed to a deal with Kikuchi for 3 years. Kikuchi agrees to a 3-year deal, $63 million with the Angels. The Angels keep giving lots of money to mid-tier players at best, in my mind. But we'll look at some of the other free agents by position that are available today, time allowing. Again, we've got into the offseason, and there'll be weeks where there's lots to talk about. There'll be weeks like this one where there's not a lot to talk about, but we can get into any conversations you want about, Major League Baseball. We can talk about, and I plan to, and I don't have one today, but I'd like to talk about, some nostalgic things I like to get into during the off season. And weeks where we don't have a lot to talk about, then we'll come in and we'll talk for a few minutes and move on, not waste anybody's time. But I do hope we have a lot of participation as always today. So I would like to, again, I want to get back to Blake Snell a little bit. We'll talk about some of the free agents. Maybe we'll talk about the Hall of Fame ballot, because that's going to become relevant very soon, man. It's very, very soon. There's some interesting stories if you want to take a look at. And we will continue to look at week in and week out until we have those elections. Some interesting names on the senior committee. I don't know what we call it. I guess it's a senior committee now. Oh, Jesus. I don't know. But Blake Snell gets his money after, Scott Boras kind of took him to the wire last year and really probably cost him. It looked like he cost him money. Maybe he didn't. Again, 5 years. What did I say it was? 5 years. $182 million. I don't do math well. What is that? 10. Do the math, Keith. That can't be $50 million a year. Are you kidding me? What the hell, Keith? Get your act together. Who knows how much this they're paying right out of the gate? The Dodgers have gotten very creative with their bookkeeping so that they can defer some of this money, or a lot of this money. That's $36 million a year for Blake Snell. There's Danny Fuller. Danny, how are you, buddy? Danny, we haven't seen you in a bit, at least since last Sunday, and I saw something on Facebook that had me a little concerned about you. I hope you're doing okay. Again, not to pry, and you don't have to say anything, but thumbs up. Glad to see you. It wasn't even on your page, but somewhere else I saw somebody make a comment. So we hope you're doing well, and there's nothing serious going on in your world. But it's great to see you as always, Danny. And your Dodgers. I should have put my Dodger blue on for you today. come up with another big free agent. Are you happy that Blake Snell is on your team? You know that Blake Snell, 5 years, $182 million. Blake Snell has averaged 5.2 innings pitched per game in his Major League Baseball career. He's now got a total of 11 outs, 6 of them in his no-hitter this year, from the 7th inning on in his entire career in Major League Baseball. Again, is that an indictment of Blake Snell or Major League Baseball in general, or don't we care? Or do we think that's okay? We're going to pay these guys $36 million. They're not even going to pitch the most important part of the ballgame. Ever. I continue to be baffled by all of this, by the way. And by the way, speaking of the Dodgers too, and I'd love to get your opinion on that, Danny, and also know that you're doing okay. And the Dodgers got to split $46 million. You remember when, and we got talking about it. Where did we talk about this? I don't know if I was watching something or talking to somebody. Oh, I've been reading Breaks of the Game, which is a book by David Halberstam about the 1977, well, theoretically about the 1977 Portland Trailblazers, but it follows them past the Walton era, Walton getting hurt and all this nonsense. And they were talking about Red Auerbach, and he would consistently, back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, a little bit into the 70s, had the lowest payroll in basketball to keep guys motivated because postseason money was a big deal to them. $8,000 or so, let's say. Well, the Dodgers split $46 million of a record postseason pool of $129 million to tell you how things change. Oh man, it's interesting. That's up from $38 million that the Rangers split last year, by the way. Is that the record? Yeah, it is the record. So the Dodgers divided their pool into 50. I'm sorry, this is not the Dodgers. Dodgers voted for 79 full shares and 17 partial shares, 17.49. I'm not sure how that works out. Partial shares and 405,000 in cash awards, dividing a pool of $46.47 million. Man, that is a lot of money for the postseason. Did I put that up there? I think I did. Good afternoon, Danny. Oh, anyway, hope Danny rings in. I really want to know Danny's opinion on this Blake Snell thing, because as a baseball fan and a Yankee fan, he's not a guy that I had any interest in ever becoming Yankee in any of the trade discussions of previous years, free agency last year, free agency this year. He's just not a guy that, and again, I feel like he's like the poster child for what's wrong with Major League Baseball. One of the things that's wrong with Major League Baseball anyway. The fact that these guys, $36 million now, we're paying a guy who has averaged 5.2 innings pitched in the course of his career. And if you think about it, I mean, are the first 5 innings of a game important? Of course, all 9 innings are important. But are they the most important innings you're going to get pitched? I don't think so. There's the Mad New Yorker. Enjoy your, hope you had a good Thanksgiving, Carlos, and continue to have a good weekend. We had a very nice Thanksgiving. Ours is broken up. We had the family for an early Thanksgiving last weekend, and my dad and stepmom, my mother-in-law, the kids and their wives, their girlfriends, my granddaughter. We had a great weekend. And then yesterday, my wife and I were, as everybody else had splintered off elsewhere, spent a very nice day. We went out in a snowstorm. We had about 7 inches of snow here yesterday. Went out to dinner and had a very nice time eating dinner, watching a little football. Came home, watched a Christmas movie, watched some more football, fell asleep. That's what Thanksgiving's for. So anyway, Danny's still with us. I want to get Danny's opinion on this. This Blake Snell signing. Let's see. Are we going to get excited about any of these free agents again? I've come up with 8 guys that I was excited about previously. So let's look by catcher, position by position, starting with catcher. Kyle Hishikawa, former Yankee, 35 years old. Denard, 36. Jansen, 30. Gary Sanchez, 32. Carson Kelly, 30. Grandel, 36. Hedges, Diaz, Stallings. Really? I'm not even going to go down the rest of this list. Can't get excited about this. Let's see. Daddy's giving us a little update. Happy to share as long as you are willing. That's been a ride. Sunday, I was heading to dinner, so was having a blood clot in the left side of the brain. Oh, my God, Danny. Long story short, my daughter and wife reached out quickly to the trauma center at the hospital. Blood clot is gone. I'm home now and getting better each day. God bless you. Danny, I knew something was going on, and I was saying a little prayer for you. And I'm sorry. Now I see your next comment. I'm sorry I brought up Snell. I hope you're doing okay, buddy. And our thoughts and prayers will be with you. We've had a lot of people, a lot of our great followers having some medical issues, serious medical issues. And God, this could have gone a lot worse, Danny. So do what your wife and daughter and the doctors have you doing, and hopefully taking it easy. Don't get yourself all worked up over anything I have to say. But we do wish you the best, buddy, and I'm glad to hear that you're okay. And secondly, he's not happy with Snell. Again, you know what? This guy's had 2 really good years in his career. The only 2 years he's had as many as 30 starts. Every other year, I had his stats up. Do I still have his stats up? No? Again, 5.2 innings a game. Before his no-hitter this year, he had a total of 5 outs after the start of the 7th inning. I had his numbers up. Let me bring them up again. Blake Snell. I love the baseball references. The baseball reference and football reference for that gender. It's the same people that do it. It's the best publication ever. Or not publication, but, site ever. So outside of, let's see, 2018, he started 31 games, went 21-5, won a Cy Young Award. Great year. And 2023, won a Cy Young with San Diego, pitched 32 games. Other than that, he started 24, 23, 11, 27, 24, and 20 games. 20 games this past year. He's had control issues the last year or 2. He averaged last year less innings, I think, than ever before. Well, 5. Yeah, just below his career average of 5.2. This guy's got 1 complete game in his whole career. This is a future Hall of Famer. I mean, it's comical for me to even talk about that. The itch is still there, though. That's good. I'm glad that they did not remove the itch when they removed the blood clot. And I am so happy, Danny, that, if you were, you were on the road. Thank God for your wife and family. I'm glad you weren't on your own and you got help quickly. Getting help quickly in those situations is so important. And I've been saying a little prayer for you all week because I knew there's something going on, and I'm so happy you're okay. And keep that itchiness, if you will. Oh my God. Look, the other free agents. So there's no catchers. Is there any catcher here that's going to be a game changer? Not a one. First base, Christian Walker, maybe. Pete Alonso, not a fan. Dave Kingman, in new time. Goldschmidt, 37 years old. Santana, 39 years old. Turner, 40. These are the best guys. Ty France, 30 and coming off his worst year ever. Anthony Rizzo coming off a horrible year, 35. This is a bad. Rudy Tellez now is only 30. Second baseman, you got Glaber leading the way, 28 years old. It's time for the Yankees to move on, and I kind of hope they do. But there's not another second baseman worthy of consideration. Again, Drew and I talked about this. When I say these guys, there's some guys who can contribute to a good team. But the Angels are already signing up guys that are, they're not that good. Kikuchi, game changers, shortstops. There's a couple of guys I like here a lot. I like Willie Adames. Willie Adames is willing to change positions. I'd love to see the Yankees get Willie Adames. The Mets would be smart to go after him. Maybe the Dodgers would. They seem to have plenty of money. Kim, I guess, is okay. Then you get DeJong, Iglesias, Kevin Newman. I believe he signed with the Angels. Again, exactly what I'm talking about with the Angels. You're going to get what you wish for. Third baseman, the cream of the crop is 31-year-old Alex Bregman, who's had down years the last couple of years. I'd love to have Bregman on the Yankees. Good glove. I think he's still got a pretty good stick, but I'm not going to overpay, and that's what you're going to have to do. After that, you got guys like Rojas, Birdie, Davis, Moncada, Urshela. Oh, my God. Left fielders, leading the way is Tyler O'Neill and Jurickson Profar. Mark Canha, Austin Hayes. There's some nice guys who can probably fill out a roster and be maybe a starting corner outfielder. Maybe some of these guys would be better off the bench, fourth outfielder, whatever. Center fielder's the same thing. Harrison Bader, who I like a lot as a player, can't stay in the field. Leads the way. Michael Taylor, again, nice players. Right fielders, of course, Juan Soto, leading contender. This is not a guy that, oh my God, I can't pay him $70 million a year. I still think he ends up with the Dodgers. Anthony Santander, Teoscar Hernandez. Again, these are probably the best three players in the free agent pool. That's not saying a lot. Designated hitters: Jock Peterson, J.D. Martinez, McCutchen, 38. Starting pitchers, you got a couple of guys I like. Snell's off the market. I didn't like him. Corbin Burns, I like. He's not going to end up in New York. Another guy might end up with the Dodgers. Dodgers might clean house here. Who the hell knows? Max Fried, I like. Kikuchi, gone. To me, he's a middling starting pitcher. Evaldi, Flaherty, Martinez, Gibson, Verlander, Pivetta. Flip a coin. Any year, these guys could be okay to horrible. No game changers here. Again, some guys that will help your team. Tanner Scott has had a pretty good couple of years, 30 years old. Local product. Jeff Hoffman, I think he went to, I don't remember where, CBA. I don't remember where he went to school, but right here in the Capital District of New York, upstate New York, 32. David Robertson, 40, is rated the fourth best. Again, they rate this by WAR, which is ridiculous anyway. Clay Holmes. I mean, again, some pitchers who can help a bullpen. Anybody there you want at the back of your bullpen? I don't. So, Drew had talked about last week guys getting added to the free agent pool. Well, guess what? It hasn't gotten any better than it was a week ago. You're going to see a lot of trades this year when the winter meetings open in a week, I believe next week, for these teams. And there are teams with lots of holes to fill, Yankees being one of them. And needing to do better. And Danny saying happy Thanksgiving to John Gonzalez. We're glad he's with us. Fried is the one I hope the Dodgers land. Are they going to still be looking for more pitching? By the way, I don't see Walker Buehler here. And I've heard the Yankees. Let me just see. Did I miss him? Hold on. Let me go back up to the starters. I'm sure Danny, without me looking, you can tell me if he's a free agent. He is. A lot of talk about Walker Buehler and the Yankees. And I like Buehler. I loved Buehler, a healthy Buehler. Buehler? I'm not so sure, again, if I'm going to overpay for these guys. This is what's going to happen because of the lack of depth. I mean, again, starting pitching, to me, after Burns, I don't like any of them. Well, I like Fried. I didn't like Snell. I didn't like Kikuchi. They're both off the market. I'm not paying for Flaherty. I'm not paying for Evaldi at 35. Again, I'm not overpaying for these guys, and I'm going to have to overpay to get any of them. The only guy I'm willing to overpay for a little bit maybe is Max Fried. Maybe. Now, maybe you find some deals later on. But again, back to the Angels. What are they thinking about? They signed Hendricks. They signed Kikuchi. I don't get it. Yeah, Walker is a free agent. I did find him. It's not a great free agent market. I mean, teams with spots to fill and probably the world champion Dodgers, I think are probably, I'm not a fan of this Snell signing, and neither is Danny, but I think they probably have less holes to fill than probably anybody in baseball. I'm sure they want to do something else with the rotation, maybe after Blake Snell. But are they going to go in for the same kind of deal for Fried? Are they hoping Kershaw comes back? Yamamoto? And again, I had an argument, not an argument, but a disagreement with Mac this morning on the Mac and Jack show. He's insistent that Ohtani won't pitch next year, and I'm telling him that there's zero way he doesn't pitch. He's worried. He's thinking they're worried about him getting hurt and not being able to hit. Well, if that was the case, they wouldn't have signed him for $70 million. A $70 million DH, as good as he is not really the best use of your money. They signed him, and he will pitch this year. Doesn't mean he won't get hurt. And if he was a sideshow act and pitching and hitting just as to sell tickets or whatever, he's a really good pitcher. That's why he's going to pitch. Healthy, and Danny, give me an honest opinion. When he's healthy, he's one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball. Maybe better than that. Paul Spada up in Wisconsin. How are you? Paul was on the Mac and Jack show today we were talking about Soto, where he might land. He thinks of Boston. I think the Boston, and I think the consensus of the group today was that Boston's interest in Soto is more to drive up the price for their competitors, maybe, than real interest. I don't think there's any way he signs in Boston. You want Walker on the Red Sox? I love Buehler's stuff. I always have. Even last year, as he tried to come back from injuries, and I don't know where he is health-wise right now. Danny might have more information on that, but he's a guy that I've liked a lot over the last several years, and I'd love to watch him in pinstripes if he's healthy. That's what I said. There's no way you're going to protect your $70 million investment by not pitching him, because you made that $70 million investment because he can pitch and hit like nobody else. He's a great player. I don't think he's overrated. I've had this discussion on this show and other shows, where, I guess it was a couple of years ago during the AL MVP race when Judge was hitting 61 home runs. What did he hit? Yes, 60. Did he hit 61 or 62? I don't remember. But there was a race, and Judge was going to win. And the opinion of some people was that Ohtani was just overrated and a creation of the media, creation of ESPN. And look at Ohtani's a very rare talent. Very rare talent. Again, can he pitch and hit for the remainder of his career? I don't know. But while he is one of the 10 best starting pitchers, you make use of that. He hurts his arm. These are the chances that you take, but you don't just, if you don't, it's been a very poor use of $70 million. If you're doing well, Paul Spada. Exactly on Soto. And by the way, Soto, he's going to get paid. If he leaves the Yankees, I'm not really that heartbroken. He was a great hitter. He's everything we expected. I expected him to be. Maybe better at the plate. But he's an average outfielder at best. Had this discussion with Jack this morning. He thinks, his defense is getting knocked unfairly. And if you're just going to count balls that he stands under and catches and throws back to the infield, yeah, he's a really good outfielder. But if you're talking about an outfielder who prevents runs, he's not your guy. He's not a guy who plays caroms off the wall well. He's not a guy who holds guys to singles when they're instead of doubles, or doubles instead of triples. At least the guys who aren't keeping themselves from doing that, the hitters themselves. He doesn't run the bases exceptionally well. I don't think his baseball instincts are that great. He's a great hitter. Can be a bit of a hot dog. But again, by all reports, he was a good teammate in New York, and for the right kind of money and years, I bring him back. But I can't play Judge in center field anymore. I've got to find a way to get a center fielder, and either Judge or Soto's playing left field. But I'm also not paying him, $750 million over 12 years or $800 million over 12 years, whatever the numbers end up being, and giving him an opt-out after 5. You guys, this is the problem in sports, in Major League Baseball specifically. And maybe I don't really notice in other sports, and maybe I don't pay enough attention to the contracts because they aren't sticking out. Maybe in the NFL they are now. But you can't give a guy security. You're 26 years old, Juan. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. We don't, and God forbid, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want something bad to happen to them in their personal life. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. But none of us know what's going to happen. Danny? Exactly, right? You weren't expecting what happened to you. And thank God it wasn't worse. We don't know what will happen to any of us. I'm telling you at 26 years old, here's $750 million guaranteed. But then in 5 years, when you think that contract's obsolete, I'm going to give you a chance to opt out and go somewhere else. No, either one or the other. Sign a 5-year contract if that's what you want, for whatever number, 350 million, whatever. Still a pretty good chunk of change to take care of you for the rest of your life, pretty sure. And I don't begrudge anybody their money. You watch me, I say, if somebody's willing to pay you, then you're worth the money. Earning it is a different story. I was going to say top 5, and I felt I might be reaching with top 5, Danny. He certainly has pitched at times like he's a top 5 pitcher. And maybe I'm thinking because of sometimes he pitched when he wasn't 100% and didn't seem quite as good as when he's at the top of his game. I'm probably discounting him a little bit. I would not argue the fact that he's not a top 5 pitcher. I said top 10 to be a little bit conservative, I suppose. Which is why he's got to pitch. You don't have a talent like that and then not make use of it. That'd be ridiculous. So, and again, I'm not saying that anybody other than the people I had the conversation with this morning were espousing that. There's no way. And his injury this year was to his left shoulder, I believe. Am I correct? And wait a minute. All right, now I'm doubting myself here. Hold on. I think his injury was to his left shoulder, and he throws right-handed, doesn't he? Went out for a little lunch today, so met a buddy of mine, an old schoolmate. We had some lunch, and we had some we had some political talk. We talked about. We had a really good time for a couple hours this afternoon. Let's see, Otani. Yeah, he throws right-handed, and I believe the injury was to his left shoulder. So he's exactly. My outlook on life is different today, sir. No doubt. Talk about a wake-up call. Yeah, I get it. And knock on wood, Danny, I can use you as my my wake up call and not get my own, because I think we're around the same age, we determined. And I think every day that I have my health, and we take a lot of things for granted in life, and I don't want to do that anymore either. I don't think I do to a certain extent, right? Thanksgiving was a good, and it happening over the Thanksgiving holiday, Danny, is another interesting time. Not to, I don't want to, sit here getting maudlin and embarrassing Danny, but it happening over the Thanksgiving holiday is an interesting circumstance as well. And guys, no matter how bad we think we have it, no matter how bad you might think things are here, in this country, in the world, whatever. Again, we all have very strong opinions one way or the other. This week, and I've had some other things going on around the family and whatnot. Nothing that will, wreck anybody's life. But there are plenty of things that give us cause to pause, and stop thinking about all the bad things going on in life or the world or the country, whatever you think, and just be thankful for everything that we have, the things we take for granted every day. The fact that we can come on here and just go on and on about baseball for an hour, go on and on about everything and anything on a Sunday morning. I don't take any of that for granted, man. I love it. I try not to wish my life away. I want to get to a point here soon where I'm enjoying my life as I want to, not tied to, my career and whatnot. It's not what I put first anymore. It's important to me, and success there is important to me. And my company's success is still important to me, but it isn't what it used to be. There's other things important in life. Danny's situation is a great point. Seeing my own granddaughter. There's a song out right now by Kane Brown. I don't know if you're not a country fan, you probably would know the song. It's called Backseat Driver. And I wouldn't have given this song a second thought 2 years ago. But now I hear that song and it resonates with me in an unbelievable way about the things we worry about in life. And then, the song is about, his daughter in the back seat asking all these random questions about life and, why are you worried about all the things going on around you? So I don't know why I got off on this sorry. So I guess this is my maudlin Thanksgiving conversation. I didn't mean to chase anybody away. But again, be happy with what you have. Be happy that Ohtani's getting $70 million. I'm happy that my family is healthy and relatively healthy and with us. Are there challenges? Absolutely. Life's always going to have challenges. But I appreciate what I have more than I have ever in my life. And I'm never going to forget that, ever. You won't embarrass me. I appreciate all the outpouring in this show, and many here will keep me coming strong every day. That a boy. All we can do is be here for you, buddy. We've had a lot of people with challenges, both on the show here, personally. And I think it's obviously it's a factor of getting older, but we can't do a lot about a lot of things. There's a lot of things we can't control. I can control my attitude, and I can control my effort when I'm putting it towards work, right? But basically, I can control my attitude about things. I won't go into it because there's a long, and I'd like to read it today if I had it in front of me. But I used to have this. It's on my wall at my office actually, and it's a old saying, but it goes into a lot of detail, kind of a poem type thing. But basically the premise is 90% of life is, 10% of life is what happens to you. The other 90% is how you react and deal with it. And that's it. It's still going to be times I go off and rant and rave about stuff because it's important to me. Could be sports, could be politics, could be anything. At the end of the day, I don't lose friends over sports. I don't lose friends over politics. I will not, ever. Or family. I had a conversation with my friend today at lunch, and it was interesting. And Rich, if you're here, I won't mention you by any other name but that, but we had an interesting conversation how, silly little things can come between family. And I'm sorry, a lot of the things that we do think are so important, and they are, but in the grand scheme of family and whatnot here with in the context of Thanksgiving and not taking things for granted, it's in the long run, they're not important. They're really not. So, and I have to take my own advice in that regard sometimes as well, too. So now that I've wasted 10 minutes with Maudlin Keith advice. Oh, God. So I finished the free agents up. Who's up? I don't know. Let's talk a little. I mean, again, there's not a lot of news, but I don't want to end up yet. We'll end up in another 10 minutes or so, 15. Maybe we'll go till 4 o'clock. Well, we talked a little bit so far about the Hall of Fame ballot. I saw some questions today that came up. Will Ichiro be the next unanimous Hall of Famer? He's going in on the first ballot. He is not going to be a unanimous Hall of Famer, I don't believe. Which, again, I don't even know why it's such a big deal. I think I talked about this last week. I don't know why being a unanimous Hall of Famer is such a big deal anyway. There should have been unanimous Hall of Famers long before Mo Rivera. I mean, if writers think a guy belongs in a Hall of Fame this year, how do they change their mind 10 years from now? Or even the second year? I can't vote for him now because I don't believe in guys getting in the first year. Just stupid. You're either Hall of Famer or you're not. So, again, if Ichiro did get in unanimously, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, how did Mays get in not unanimous his first time out? Aaron, Ruth. Well, voting was probably different then. Tom Seaver. I'm sure I can think of a Dodger if I think long enough. I think we talked about, Danny, I don't know, were you here when we talked about the Veterans Committee, which I want to get to? I don't know what we call it anymore. Can CC Sabathia break the starting pitcher drought? CC's getting in. Whether he gets in on the first ballot again is kind of contingent on some of the things I just talked about. But he's got 251 wins and 3,000 strikeouts. There aren't going to be a lot more pitchers who get to 250 wins. I think CC's definitely a Hall of Famer. And this drought is about, who's the last guy who got in? First ballot. Halladay was the last guy to get in on the first ballot. There might not be another Hall of Fame starter until the likes of Greinke. Not sure. Verlander, definitely a Hall of Famer. Clayton Kershaw, definitely a Hall of Famer. Who will become eligible after their 5 years after their final season. Billy Wagner's last chance. We talked about this with Drew a little bit over the years. I know he's a big Billy Wagner advocate. I've never been a huge advocate for Wagner. I look back at his numbers and I've had to give him another thought. And I think, yeah, he belongs in. And nobody's ever gotten, he's at 73.8. Nobody's ever gotten this high and not gotten in. And this is his last chance. So it seems unlikely he won't get in, especially with this ballot that they have this year, which we'll take a look at in a second. Carlos Beltran, an interesting take. If you want to look at WAR, then it's really, really good, but I'm not a big WAR person. CC gets in, no doubt. I agree. What about, I think Kershaw is a Hall of Famer. I'm not so sure about Greinke. You did see Greinke pitch with the Dodgers, too. Great pitcher. I'm just not sure about the Hall of Fame. And it's hard to judge starting pitchers today. Felix Hernandez Does he belong in Cooperstown? He had his peak. You won a Cy Young Award. His peak, his peak was really short in my mind. I'm not sure he gets in. Second base stacked with Utley, Pedroia, Kinsler. I don't see Kinsler as a Hall of Famer. I think Utley and Pedroia, man. Again, I guess if I'm looking at second baseman, I've got to say yes. This article that I'm kind of looking at here with these questions, it's just full of war references, and I just don't want to get into that. Andrew Jones is an interesting case. I think he's in his 8th year of Hall of Fame eligibility, so he's got a few years left, 3 shots left. Man, this guy, the first half of his career, he was a tremendous hitter, a two-way player, three-way player, I guess a little bit. But he won 10 Gold Gloves, and he's the best center fielder that I saw ever play in my lifetime. I don't know that he was good as Mays in his heyday. But I think this, in my lifetime, I feel like he's the best center fielder I ever saw play. And I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame myself. He got 61.6 share of the vote last year, his highest yet. But it's still a long ways to go to get to that magic 75%. So those are some of the stories that you want to be looking at. Here's the guys that are eligible coming up here. I'll look at this. We'll wrap this up after this. Well, whatever. If you guys have other topics you want to talk about, here's the ballot. Billy Wagner. If I was going to vote, you get 10 guys, right? I'm voting for Wagner. I'm voting for Jones. I'm voting for A-Rod. I have to. If I'm going to be consistent about the steroid guys, and I think they belong in there, warts and all, and tell the story, I got to vote for A-Rod. I'm voting for Manny. I think Manny Ramirez belongs in the Hall of Fame. I'm voting for Ichiro. I'm voting for CC. Pedroia. I'm voting for Pedroia. I'm not voting for Kinsler. I'm not voting for King Felix. And that's it. I got 6 guys I'd vote for in this class right here. Jimmy Rollins is another interesting case. But I'm going to say no, just short. Hall of Good. Utley. If I'm voting for Pedroia, do I have to vote for Utley? I'm not sure. Kershaw's a definite. And you feel Greinke won't get in. I kind of feel the same way. Greinke, it just, there's no wow factor. And that's no knock on Greinke. And to me, just not enough good years. I mean, he didn't pitch with enough good teams, maybe. But we'll see. So there's my guys that I would vote for this year. I'm going to say I guess I got to vote for Utley. If I vote for Pedroia, I got to vote for Utley. So that's one I'd have to kind of weigh a little bit more. Some guys that maybe are you don't think about because they're not just offensive related. Vizquel, again, Andrew Jones, who I would vote for. I'm not sure about Vizquel. Pitchers, you got other pitchers besides CC. You got King Felix. You got Andy Pettit. If Andy Pettit had never left New York and gone to Houston and then back to New York, Andy Pettit would be looking at the Hall of Fame induction. That's just one man's take. So that's that. The Veterans Committee, kind of interesting. So guys that are available to or have a chance to get in. Tia, Boyer, Ken Boyer, great defensive player, so-so offensive player. Not bad. Dick Allen belongs in the Hall of Fame in my mind. Definite. I'm getting Dick Allen in. Tommy John was a really good pitcher, known more for surgery than he was for his pitching, unfortunately. Dave Parker is an interesting case I'm not sure about. I don't even think they can take all these guys. Vic Harris is an old-timer. John Donaldson's an old-timer. I don't know enough of them really to talk about them, quite frankly. And the stats you really can't look at because of the difference in the way the game was played way back when they played. But of these guys, Tiant, Boyer, Allen, John, Parker, and Garvey. I really believe Louis Tiant belongs in the Hall of Fame. I think I'm going to get an argument there from guys. I know I got it from Drew. I might get it from Danny. I'm going to say no to Boyer. I'm going to say yes to Dick Allen. I'm going to say no to Tommy John. And I'm going to say yes to Dave Parker. And Garvey's another guy I struggle with. Garvey has got some tremendous numbers. I think Garvey belongs in the Hall of Fame. When you put together the consecutive game streak, he was a really good first baseman fielding the ball. Can't throw the ball. That's why he was playing first base. He was really clutch in the postseason. I mean, maybe the cumulative stats don't add up to where they do with some other guys, but when you add in his postseason performances, I think Garvey's a Hall of Famer. Being a Dodger fan, I wanted Garvey to get voted in. Is it just as a Dodger fan, though, Danny? I mean, if you're able to separate it, and I think, given our conversations, I think you are one of those. I think you're more like me than say, no offense, Philly sports guy. Where everything Philadelphia is golden, and everybody should be in a Hall of Fame, and everybody should be, and they're always going to win 162 games or whatever. I think I look at my teams very realistically, maybe too critically, as Danny might agree. But, from the outside looking in, I think Garvey's a Hall of Famer. And again, you look at his regular season stats, 272 homers, forget about the WAR. I'm not looking at WAR, guys. I'm just not. The fact that Pete Rose is like 75th all time in WAR tells me all I need to know about the stat. So I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at numbers that mean something to me, right? Runs scored 1,100. The consecutive game streak means something to me. 272 home runs at first base. Some would look at it as a knock. 1,300 RBIs, pretty damn good. Didn't get 300. On base percentage a little low, OPS a little low because of that on base percentage. But when I factor in the postseason, which you have to do, I think Steve Garvey belongs. Danny, I would like your opinion too on Andrew Jones, since again, we battle it out a few times here a little bit. I know I have fun with it, and I know you have fun with it, but I do respect your opinion, and I think. 2 guys I want your opinion on. 3 guys I want your opinion on. I think Tiant belongs in. I got a feeling you're going to say no. I know Drew said no. Hall of very good. Again, I look at the postseason in 75 World Series, and those things resonate with me. So Tiant, Dick Allen. Who else do I talk about? Parker. And also Manny, who's still on a regular ballot. And Andrew Jones. We got time? I got 7 minutes if you can type that fast and you're still listening to me. And if you're not, reply to me and we'll bring it up at another time. Guys, as I get ready to wrap it up, a couple of programming notes. Sunday we'll be live with the Stream of Consciousness. We'll be on, and we'll have the college football huddle on Wednesday. We're going to have to, once we get to the holidays, we're going to have to look at the college football huddle, which we're going to have. And we may have to do it on Tuesdays or on Thursdays. I don't know yet. Because Wednesday is going to be holidays. Maybe we do it New Year's night. I don't know. And then next week on Keith Engle, the 101, 101 with Keith Engle, I'm going to have Billy Sample, former Texas Ranger and Yankee and Brave on the show. And we'll talk a lot about what we talked about here today. False Pettit should go to the Hall. You know what? Pettit had a nice career. I think Andy Pettit screwed himself, Paul. I think if he played his entire career in New York, he would be in the Hall of Fame or would go to the Hall of Fame eventually. I think those 2 years, 3 years he was gone in Houston, I think are going to hurt him. Danny says, Piat was the Red Sox, definitely deserves Hall of Fame. Wasn't a big Dick Allen fan. He's a coin flip. Fair enough. Dick Allen, he didn't have a position. He wasn't a great fielder, unlike some other guys I've talked about here. But Dick Allen, you want to look, and I like OPS. OPS is one of the numbers that I do like. It's not quite, to me, a made up number because it is combining two important stats: slugging percentage, on base percentage. 912. When I look at that, I go, wow, that is amazing. He had some great years too. The year he had with the White Sox in 72 and 73 before he got hurt, or was it 73 and 74? Whatever. Were great years. He did mess himself up. Speaking of Pettit, for sure. Pettit was a lifelong Yankee. Be easy to say he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Oh, what else? So anyway, Billy Sample next Friday. Well, hopefully you guys can join us there. CC should go in. I agree. He'll be in. Whether he's a first ballot, I don't know. Again, to me, I never understand these guys who say I'm not going to vote. And I think maybe that's more of an old guard thing than a new guard thing. To me, I'm still shocked, as I said, that Mo was the first unanimous Hall of Famer. I mean, how are guys like Seaver, Mays, Aaron not first? I mean, not unanimous. They were first ballot guys. But you're going to tell me that, I'll vote for him in year 2 or 3, but I can't vote for him in year 1? That's just stupid. I think Andy P should have stayed with the Yankees. Agreed. So I'm hoping your guy Garvey gets in, and it'll be some good news for him this year as he got stomped in his Senate race out there. I would have voted for him. Guys, we're going to wrap it up. I do appreciate you all joining me again this week. Again, we'll be on weekly, even during the off season. There'll be weeks where you have lots to talk about, weeks where we'll kind of get into some discussions like this Hall of Fame discussion and other things. Danny, we're glad you're doing well, and we'll continue to send positive thoughts your way, buddy, and do whatever it is the doctors are telling you to do. We are here to have some fun, and hopefully we are not the cause of any more. No, I don't make light of health issues, but I'm just thinking, I don't think we're responsible for anything. Great having you guys with us. We'll see you Sunday morning with the Stream of Consciousness, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.